Hey everyone, welcome to our first ever self-publishing workshop, and we are so excited to be hosting this. This is something really unique, and it's amazing that we can have a workshop about self-publishing that is by teens, for teens, so that we can share all these cool talents with everyone. So most of you are, all of you are in the collab, so you know what the collab is. But I'd like to introduce myself again, just in case you don't know. I'm Carolina, and I am 14 years old. I live in North Carolina, and I am an ambassador of the Climate Hub, and I am the social media intern for the collab. And then I would like to introduce Grace, who will be hosting this amazing workshop, and we are so happy to have her. And she won the Teens Dream video competition for her dream to write a book about climate change that will educate younger children about climate change. Welcome, Sumaya. But it will educate younger children about climate change and introduce the idea of climate change to younger children so that we can start taking action and encouraging younger children to take action. And she's also a member of the Climate Change Hub. And so she won the video competition, and she has actually self-published 3 of her own books. And that's what she'll be telling us about today. And so once she teaches us how to self-publish books, we will be talking about the collab self-publishing their own book about the UN SDGs, which we are so excited to have that opportunity to do. And we're gonna work out some details later in this meeting. But before we get started, I would like everyone to go around and tell us their age, their name, where they're from, and how they found out about this workshop. So I'll go first, and I already really did this, but my name is Carolina Jones, and I'm from North Carolina. And I found out about this workshop when I was talking to Grace and learning about how she would like to share self-publishing with other teens. So, Grace, do you want to go next?
Sure. Hi, I'm Grace, and I am from Chicago, but I just moved to California. And I found out about this workshop through working with Carolina to set this up. So yeah. Anyone else can go next.
I can go next. So my name's Sajal. I'm from Northern Virginia. I'm 17 years old, and I found out about this workshop through our Gender Equality Hub meetings and through the Slack channel. Yeah.
Right, I guess I'll go next. I'm Akash. As Ms. Lynn said, I'm the new ambassador for the Mental Health Hub. And I found out about this hub similarly to Sajal through the Slack and through the amazing advertising that Carolina and Grace did.
I'm going to go next. Hi, everyone. My name is Fenna Milbauer. I am currently an intern here at the Collabs, and I found out about the workshop through the Slack and through Carolina, and I'm very excited to listen and learn.
So, hi, everyone. I am Viviana Ruiz. I am from Colombia in South America. I am a mentor in the Education Hub. And I'm here because I want to learn from you and with you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Alicia. I'm from California. And then I first heard about it. I think we mentioned it in the all hands meeting. And then after that, I heard about it from Carolina in the Slack channel.
Hi, I'm Ankita. I'm from LA, California, and I heard about this through the all hands meeting and then the Slack channel.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sumaya. I'm from New York, and I heard about this after Carolina and Grace reached out to the Arts Hub, and so we'll be collaborating with them to help produce this book and really working on the illustrations with them. I'm excited for that.
And I'm Linda with the CoLab, and I'm so proud of all of you guys and so grateful for this opportunity to help educate the world about the SDGs, led by teens, for teens, and maybe even another book for 5-year-olds, younger kids of some age. So really excited. Let's get going.
All right, like Linda said, without further ado, let's get to the workshop. So I'll pass it on to you, Grace, and you can start presenting.
Okay, awesome. Let me share my screen. Okay. Hello, this is my workshop on how to self-publish. So first off, who am I? My name is Grace, and I live in California now. I'm from Chicago, Illinois, and I am a climate activist and also a wildlife lover, animal lover. I've volunteered with lots of animals, including reptiles like the alligator you see in that picture. I've worked with snakes, small primates like monkeys and lemurs. And I won the 2020 Teens Dream Video Competition, and I was featured on the Miami News channel, which you can see on the bottom picture there. And I was also featured in the Chicago Tribune for my climate activism as an 8th grader. And this top middle picture there is me doing some citizen science. I love going out and doing science. And this one was with an internship with the Barrington Area Conservation Trust. So these are the 3 books I have self-published. So the one on the end here was a book I wrote when I was 10 years old. And this one's just a fiction book about a ninja girl who solves problems and makes friends and defeats villains. And that was kind of the first book I have ever published. And I was 10 years old at the time. So it's pretty old, but I still really like it. And then my second book was A Talent for Kindness, which you see in the middle. This book was about how it was kind of like a graphic for teachers to educate their kids about how maybe they like to sing, maybe they like to draw, and how they can use those talents to raise money and help others and be kind. So that was a really fun one to make. And then this last one I published just a month ago, I think. This one was Don't Let Us Disappear. So this one's about endangered animals, which is very close to my heart. I love endangered animals. I've, wrote stories about endangered animals my whole life. That was always what I wrote about in elementary school. So this was kind of a passion project, just educating kids about endangered animals and how they can help them. So this is a sneak peek at my new book that I'm creating as a result of winning the 2020 Teens Dream competition. And these are the character designs for the new book, and I'm hopefully going to publish it before the October 10th celebration. And so I'm really excited about that. So this book is also to educate kids about climate change using these characters as a storyline. So to begin with the self-publishing webinar or workshop, I want to introduce self-publishing. What is self-publishing? So the exact definition is the act of publishing media without the use of a publishing house or company. And in short, this means that the author publishes a book on their own and typically has complete creative control. The royalty rates are higher because you don't have a middleman, and full autonomy over the publishing process. And we'll get into more of the publishing process now. So before you start self-publishing, you have to decide a few things. So number one, is your book going to be a print book or an ebook? And number two, are you going to completely self-publish or use a distributor? And then number three, wide publishing or narrow or exclusive publishing? I'll go over each of these now. So number one, is your book going to be a print book or an ebook? So this decision depends on a lot of factors. My first book was both. My second and third book were both just ebooks. And that just depended on one, the audience. Who's your target audience? Are they most likely to read a print book or an ebook? Or maybe you have a broader audience that could read either one, in which case you can do both. And then the budget. Can you afford to make a print book? Because sometimes you have to pay to print every page of your book. So especially if it's a children's book and you have illustrations, it may cost more. And another thing with the budget, can you make the cost of the book cover the cost to print it? Which is basically, is your audience willing to pay a little extra to be able to buy the print book when it covers the cost of printing? So if the cost of printing is $100 and your book is not worth $100, you may want to stick to an ebook. And then finally, the distributor. So we will talk about, or I think I can introduce what a distributor is now. So a distributor is basically a program that you're still self-publishing because there's no real middleman. You still own all the rights to your book, but the distributor helps with the self-publishing process because they help publish it to multiple consumer services such as Amazon, such as Barnes and Noble. They will do all of that. When without using a distributor, you would have to go to the Amazon's website and put in your information, and then separately go to Barnes and Noble, put in your information. So the distributor makes it a little bit easier. So you just have to put in your information once, and they will put it out to multiple consumer platforms. And one question you have to ask is, does your distributing service do print/ebooks? So some distributors only do ebooks, like I know Draft to Digital only does ebooks, some only do print, and some do both. So you have to think about that when you're publishing your book. And then number two, are you going to completely self-publish or use a distributor? Like I said, kind of going over what I said, what is a distributor? A distributor is exactly what it sounds like. It's a company that distributes your books to consumer platforms. And the advantages of a distributor can lessen the workload on yourself, but distributors aren't always free. Sometimes they take a portion of your profits. Sometimes it's just a flat fee of $50. It depends. And then examples of popular distributors are Ingram Spark, Draft to Digital, Baker & Taylor, and Amazon KDP. Number three, wide publishing or narrow publishing. So what's the difference? Narrow publishing is when you sell exclusively to one consumer platform, and wide is the opposite. You can publish to many platforms. And the advantages of using narrow publishing is like when you use Amazon KDP, it stands for Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing. That means you only sell on Amazon, and in turn, they give you free advertisement. And so sometimes that can be the best option, but sometimes you want to be able to be found on multiple consumer platforms, in which case you would use wide publishing and use a distributor or do it yourself to get your book out to multiple platforms, and so that your audience can find you in multiple places. And then finally, some other things you may want to think about before publishing your book is one, formatting. So you may have to do your research on what kind of format you need for your type of books. Some children's books require a different format than fiction books or chapter books. So this really just depends on what kind of genre you are making. And we'll talk about more about what Teen's Dream is doing, and how more of the specifics about formatting and all of these things later. And then numbers 2 through 4 are basically choosing what your book is about and making sure that you find the best terms that describe your book so that your audience can find you better. So if you have a book about animals, you may want to have a search term that says kids' books about endangered animals, or endangered animals, books about endangered animals, etc. And then number 5 is your book description. So this is really, really important. Everyone, when they're shopping for a book online or even in store, really appreciates the book description. It tells you what the book is about. It tells you, hopefully it's an exciting, captivating description of what your book is about, and hopefully it engages your audience enough so that they feel compelled to buy it or check it out. So now I'm going to go into what are the Teen's Dream Hubs doing. So we are going to co-author our own book about the SDGs, and Carolina and I will host an open discussion now about your thoughts, your comments, your ideas about the book. And right now we're still in the process of figuring it out. We want the hub's help and collaboration on it. So we haven't decided all the details yet, but we have the basis of what we're trying to do. So I will open it up to questions now, and Carolina can help me.
All right, Grace, to start off, you already have 3 questions. Oh yes, that was amazing. Thank you so much. That was so good.
Wow.
Yeah, that was really impressive. Actually, could you send links to your previous books? Maybe
Yeah,
as
I
like a
will.
follow-up. I would love to learn more about those.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but to start off the open discussion, you already have 3 questions in the chat. So
Okay.
the first one is, if we use those distributors, how much would it be? Like you said, $50 as an example. Is that
so Ingram Spark is $50 for a print book and an ebook, and I think if you're just doing an ebook, it's $25, and if you're just doing a print book, it's still $50. So you can do both for no extra cost if you wanted to. That's just an example, though. They depend.
Okay. And then do you design the covers on your own? So I think this was about your previous books. Did you design those covers?
Yeah, I did. And the whole book is graphic art. So yes, I did design those covers. I'm working on a new cover for my newest book, but yes, I did design those covers, except I think the first one was a different artist. When I was 10, I had no drawing skills, no graphic art skills, obviously. And so that was a different artist. She was a friend of my dad's.
Okay.
And for your
Great.
current book, you're using what for your artists?
Oh yeah, I'm right now the character designs are designed by artists on Fiverr, and I think their name is Noor. Noor is doing that.
What is Fiverr?
Oh, Fiverr is it's basically a platform where you put out your skills and people can hire you for freelance work, and you can be an artist, you can be a writer, you can be a graphic artist, social media person, all types of freelance work can be presented on Fiverr, and you can hire someone through there.
Thank you. So what platforms have you used previously?
So I think I used Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing for my first book and Draft to Digital on my second two. But this book I'm working on right now, I'm using Ingram Spark. So I've used a bunch of them so far.
Okay, so just to follow up, please send us the links to those books and the presentation.
Yes.
No rush. You can probably just put that in the Slack later. But does anyone else have any questions about the self-publishing process? And then we'll get into the collab Teens Dream book.
Well, I have I have a million questions. Grace, which of those distributors, like with Amazon, you had to use just Amazon, right?
Yeah.
And so which of them had like the most success in getting your book out, and how did you measure that?
So I think for kids' books, print books are definitely a better choice. In my case, I had a limited budget, so I wasn't able to really do that. I used ebooks for my last two, but I think the advantage of Kindle Direct Publishing is that they give you free advertisement, which is really, really good. And Amazon, I think, is the most used platform for buying books, especially for ebooks. And I think that one was probably the most successful, but I know Ingram Spark has worked for a lot of people too, and they distribute to multiple platforms. So I think it's just whether you want to publish directly to Amazon and only Amazon, or do wide publishing where you have multiple platforms you can be found on. And I think with international sales, like I know someone's from Colombia, there are ways in which you can do wide publishing to bookstores in other countries too, that are mainly used in other countries. I know Kobo is used a lot in Canada, for example, and if you wanted to publish to multiple countries, it probably would be best to do wide publishing, unless you wanted to go straight to Amazon, which it just depends on what kind of book you have. And I will put a link to my website, which has all of my books listed on there, on that page.
How many books have you distributed?
3 so far.
No, but I mean,
Sure.
like of the 3, how many people downloaded your books or bought your books?
I'm not really up to date on the numbers of my first book, but my most recent book has gotten just over 1,000, I think, right now. And my last book before that was kind of like after I took a really long break after publishing. So I think I have more like 500, 600 on that one.
Those are impressive numbers, Grace.
Thank you.
Other questions? Carolina, you're doing an amazing job, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, does anyone have any other questions?
Well, I'll ask another question, Grace. How do you lay out your books? Like, is there like a online book? Did you tell us this and I missed it? Like, if I want to write a book, I can, like, I go to Shutterfly and I create digital books all the time. They have a layout and I just plug my stuff in. How do you do your layout and your design? And do you do a storyboard of your book? And how does that work?
Yeah, so well, those are formatters. So I didn't really give any examples of that in the presentation, but I think I'll add it to the guide soon because I have a written guide too. Basically, just summarizing what I said in the presentation. And For formatters, I have used Book Creator, which is, I found that through my school. Basically, teachers can sign up and give you a login, and I've kept my login. So I've just, for these last 2 books, I used Book Creator, and it basically, that's better for graphic art and kids books, and which I think we will probably use that for our project. But yeah, that's a good one I use. Basically, you can put the text anywhere, you can put the images anywhere, and they will format it into an EPUB file, which is the file that most people use to create books, or especially children's books with illustrations. And then for my first book, it was a chapter book and a fiction chapter book. So I think I used, I don't remember the name, but I will put it in the guide after the presentation, after the Q&A at least. Yeah, I don't remember the name of that one. It was a while ago. And I'll put the written guide in the chat too.
All right, thank you so much. So unless anyone has any other questions, let's move on into the collabs book. So just to give you some background, when we learned about Grace and how she has self-published these books and she offered to help us, we thought this would be a great tool for the hubs to use. And so first we were thinking, you know, hub members can come to this workshop and then bring it back to their hub, and the hubs can create a book just about their specific topic. And we encourage you to do that as well. But then we thought that it would be really cool if we could get all the hub members to collaborate on a book about what the hubs do and what the SDGs are. And that would be just a great resource and a fun project to work on. So we've been talking through different possibilities. And so one possibility is to create a book for teens about the hubs and the collab and taking action and advocacy as a teen and what that means. And then another option would be to write a book about the UN Sustainable Development Goals for younger children, to introduce this idea to younger children. And maybe that could be in classrooms or online. But I think for younger children, that would be better as a print book. But so those are like 2 options we've been talking through, and we really want to make sure that we get everyone in the hub's opinion on this, and then we can really make this a group project that everyone can collaborate on. So I would like to open it up and let everyone share their thoughts and what they think about this idea and what they would be able to contribute to this project and how we can collaborate on this. What's up, Akash?
Yeah, firstly, amazing presentation. I'm shocked.
Thank you.
But to respond to your prompt, why can't we do both? I mean, what we could do is basically have a quick summary for the little kids about like what each goal is in simple, easy to understand terms. And then we'll just, I guess we can use pictures because children tend to best like it when they have an assortment of pictures rather than a whole bunch of text. And then like we'll just have a small set of captions describing like the stuff that we do to try to, I guess, make sure that these goals are being met. So like we could always do a little bit of both if you guys don't want to pick one or two. I mean, the first or second option.
Yeah, I think doing both is a really good option, and we can do one and then like look back on that and see what we would have liked to do better and where we can improve. And then also you mentioned the pictures and illustrations. We have Sumaya from the Arts Hub here, and they have agreed to illustrate this book. And if any hub is writing their own individual book, they will also be available to work with that hub to create illustrations for that book.
Yeah, and if anyone else has some artist talent but isn't in the art hub, we would still love any help we can get. I also, I haven't like talked to Carolina about this idea yet, but I found this at the library. It's basically like an activity guide for kids, and it's just like a little book like that, and it's not like a storybook, it's just more like an activity guide. But it also teaches kids, like, this is about the water cycle here, and it's like a little maze or a game that they can play. I think this might be a cool idea for us to do for kids. And I'm not sure, you guys can like talk about it and what you think, but I think this is a really cool thing to do for kids. Whereas teens, it could be more like this. This is like the climate change book that has really cool graphic art, but a lot of text. I thought this was a kind of a cool format for like a teen book, or a preteen book. I don't know.
Yeah, that activity book is really cool because that is a good way to engage children. And I encourage you all to turn on your mics, unmute, and share your thoughts as well, because we're just talking through different possibilities.
Could we oh wait, sorry.
I'll just add something here. We have 3 new folks that joined us, I think. Danielle from Georgia, Lana. I think, Lana, you're from Arlington. Where are you from?
I'm from North Carolina.
Oh my gosh, that's right, North Carolina. And Suday is here from Turkey. Hi, Suday, who heads up our Turkish hub. So we have a lot of representation here. So that's number 1. Number 2 is, I think we should decide today, like, to focus on one project, because we can do the next book and then the next book, but let's focus. I mean, I would prefer we focus on a book for teens first, and then with that experience, we can do a book down the road for younger kids. But
yeah, I agree. I think we should start off with a book for teens, because almost everything we do is by teens for teens. So we have a lot of experience with that. And that is something that's really special about the collab. And so I think we should start with, I'm thinking it could be like not too big, and just like sort of a like description of first, like the main goal of the collab. And then each hub has like a page where it describes their problem, maybe gives out some facts with some cool graphics about the statistics about their SDG. And then it can talk about projects that they've worked on and stuff they've enjoyed doing and how they've worked with this problem, their experience with that through the years. Akash.
Let's get some other, Akash, share your thoughts. And then I want to hear from Fenna, who has made, I'd really like, Fenna, you to put your collective in here and share your experience, because she's done a lot of digital books in Europe. And Fenna is a college student in the Netherlands.
Cool.
Akash, we can't hear you.
Oh, thank you. I guess one thing that we could also do is I've been thinking about it, and like a cool thing that we could do is like we can make like a yearly book talking about like what the hubs have been doing, and then like have like this huge compilation of like huge projects that we've done over the year. So like maybe if we were to do that, would we also want to have like a page where we have like the pictures of all the hub members as well? And then like maybe a little bit about them, talking about like leadership position, stuff like that, and then like a little bit about them if they want, like a bio.
Yeah, I think we could do, that's a really good idea. I think we could do maybe like a few highlights. Maybe the leaders of each club can have like a little circle with their face in it, and they can talk about what they've done with the hub. If we were to do a yearly thing, that's a lot of work for publishing, but we could probably make like a yearbook kind of thing and have it online, because maybe that would cost a bit less. I'm just thinking of the publishing side. I always think of the logistics of that. Yeah.
So I'm gonna share what Fenna has done, and I'm going to put Fenna on the spot. Can you guys see this?
Yeah.
Fenna, can you just explain the collective? Because this is a online place where college students do magazines, art, poetry, interviews, articles. And I was thinking we could have something like this where we put our books that we've published, our podcasts, all our videos, and I like what Akash is saying, because there's a lot of history with these hubs, and it would be cool to be able to show what the Hunger Hub did like 3 years ago, so you could go here and see the history of the Hunger Hub's work, or the history of the Wildlife Hub's work, or the Climate Hub, whatever. But I just love what they've done here. And I don't know, Fenna, you want to say something?
Yeah, sure. I think my coffee machine is making a lot of noise, but I'm going to try to talk over it. Yeah, so we created Collective about a year and a half ago, almost. We're inching on 2 years now. We do digital magazines. We were printing at a certain point, but because of COVID, it didn't really make any sense because we couldn't distribute to people in the university. But we create magazines every 2 to 3 months, depending on how busy my team is. And really the essence is that we let writers write about what they're passionate about and about topics. It could be a poem, it could be about politics or something that's happening in the world. It can be about someone's journey with their natural hair. As you see, Ruby wrote about that in one of our latest editions. Yeah, and we do this completely student run. The art is all done by a group of 3 artists that I have. I get assistance on editing each of the articles. Yeah. But yeah, I think I really love the idea of creating a book. That's why I was really excited, Grace, when I heard about what you had done, because it's super impressive. But I also think it would be really nice for each of the hubs to kind of be highlighted, but also to kind of have a voice to talk about the issue and the SDG that you're focusing on. So I think it's important that we talk about this is the work that we're doing, but also why is it so important to each of you? So that's just my 2 cents.
Thanks, Fenna.
Thanks. That's really cool. I love the art on that is just so cool, and like the setup and the format of it. It's really cool.
I know. I wish I was that talented.
All right. I'd like to hear from some of the other team members of the hubs about what they think and how they could like apply this to their hub.
Yeah, so I definitely think that it would be a great idea to start with, making a book about that's more geared towards like teens or people our age, and like kind of talking about how like what each of the hubs are doing, like an overview, kind of like what you guys said, and then talk a little bit about like what each of the hubs have been doing specifically, and like what our sustainable development goal is, and like how we've been advocating for that, and then like maybe ways to like get involved and like join the hub in some way. But I definitely think like it would be a good idea to start with one for teens, and then like in the future I think one for like younger kids would also be really cool, but it might be kind of hard to do like both of those right now. But yeah, I think starting with one and doing the other would be good.
Yeah, to add on to that, I think it'd be really cool to have the less challenging graphic art of teens, because it's not so heavily focused on graphic art as would the kids book. The kids book would be like, as an activity guide, you need like a lot of graphic art, and it probably would be best to like start off with something that's a little bit more writing focused, and something that we can come up with together like that.
So guys, I want to share with you something the Climate Hub has done. The action guides that the Climate Hub has done are really impressive. And I just, again, we're sort of doing a brainstorm thing, but can somebody put in the chat the, like the hydroponic garden link, and we could just look at that really quickly, because these action guides I mean, what I'm envisioning, but I want this to be your vision, but I think we're coming to, some agreement that we'll focus on teens. We'll do a book, as Carolina outlined, that sort of tees up the collab and the SDGs, then focuses on the hubs and maybe gives each hub, 2 pages or 3 pages or 4 pages or some, something simple. And each hub would, and there'd be maybe a common format. So you'd sort of ask the hubs to, like, I don't know, Grace, but it seems like it would be good to have a common format for each of the chapters from each of the hubs. And I don't know, I just want to share that action guide because it's kind of cool. This is the fast action. And what I love about these action guides is that they are very, you can read through it in like 2 minutes. And you can kind of get a quick sense of what the issue is, what is fast fashion, what are the impacts, why is this important, and what can you do, So anyways, so that's just a cool thing I wanted to highlight, another thing that we've done at the collab. But I'd like to hear from everybody here. So I just kind of think, Carolina, why don't we just go around the room and just see if anybody has any comments? And then we've got about 15 minutes and then we can wrap this up.
Yeah, so if we could go around and everyone could kind of share their thoughts and opinions and kind of what they're thinking of.
So why don't you call on people?
Okay, so we've heard from Akash and Sejal. So Suday, would you like to share?
Yeah, actually, this idea is amazing. Last day we talked with Linda, and I don't know, but we can add a Turkish subtitle on the book. We can translate, so we can share in Turkey and some Turkish country all around the world. So we can share our voice. I don't know if is it okay for everyone. But if you want, actually, I like this, activity book. But if we add the activity book on our book, probably we need to print because, this activity should write or, we need a pen. I don't know, it's my idea. So if we add activity, activity exercise or something, we should print. But I love idea, so congratulations to Grace and Carolina, you're amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, I think for the activity book, that would be something really fun, but we would also need to consider what kind of format that would be in. So I definitely agree with you. Bibiana.
Carolina, before you do that, I'd love to have us do this book first in English, and then after it's completely done, we translate, the Spanish hub translates it into Spanish, and the Turkish hub translates it into Turkish.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. I would love that to happen for us. Yeah.
Yeah. And if individual hubs create books, or when Grace publishes her book, that would also be awesome to publish those in other languages. Okay, so Bibiana, would you like to go next?
Yeah, hi. Well, first of all, congratulations, Grace. I am so inspired and like, wow, I would like to spread the word about what you are doing with my students and many people that I know they grow, because many of my students, they are illustrators. So I was wondering if I could ask them after we have the book, some of them, maybe they can illustrate some pages. And I was taking notes because I have in my mind my students that maybe could help us. So that is the first thing. And the second one, as I wrote, I was wondering how to connect this idea because, yeah, I know this amazing community is the majority of you are teens, but this is also people like me that I am not a teen. I am a teacher passionate about SDGs and education. And then this community is going international, intergenerational, which is an important word nowadays, because connecting ideas from experience and refreshing, reskilling, upskilling with what you have and what you do is connecting the SDGs in different ways to understand them and apply them. And finally, related to the innovation, because yeah, the book, the idea of working together is something that is related to the democratization of knowledge nowadays. So we are sharing experiences, ideas, and actions that are for sure changing and transforming the world. So I am trying to think about how can we connect this idea of international, intergenerational, and innovation with the book, especially because many of the books that I have, for example, related to these ideas, are talking about people in the past. No, many of them are talking about what is happening nowadays around the world. So this is for real. Youths, teens, adults, institutions working together to this call to action that we need to have. So I'm thinking about like ethnography in our hubs. So it's like a storytelling about what we have done so far.
Yeah, and we would love to have your students illustrate and help with this. That's an amazing idea, and I definitely agree with the those three going in. So yeah, I think that is important when we decide more about the book, and we should definitely like include that in the description. Okay, so Sumaya, would you like to go next?
Yeah, I can go. So first I really want to say congratulations to Grace. All the work you're doing is very remarkable and very impressive. I am really looking forward to getting this project off the ground. And I think one thing that I was thinking about was kind of like when we're presenting this book to teens, are we looking to target those who are familiar to the subject matter, or those who aren't so familiar but have always been surrounded by it but haven't really gotten the opportunity to engage with this subject? And I was wondering kind of like how we can highlight ways in which they can first one interact with our community, and how we can have them see themselves part of this change. I think one of the big things before I even joined this collab was that I never saw myself as engaging with environmental work, or kind of I always knew about it, but I never could see myself doing something like doing big change like this. And now it all just started from that competition and making a video, and now I'm like learning so much as I'm going through the process. And that first initial step was pretty big for me, because it was kind of like, now I'm like entering this new world, and it's something that I want to continue on, but it wasn't an easy thing to kind of just get myself to it. So I think it would be cool if we kind of find a way to help our readers see themselves part of this big change.
Yeah, so I think kind of to elaborate on what you said, first with like the topic, do they know about the SDGs yet? I didn't know about the SDGs until after I learned about the collab, and I learned about the SDGs through the collab. So I think we should talk about the UN Sustainable Development Goals and introduce the UN Sustainable Development Goals, because that might not be something that teens already know about. And then also, I think it is important allowing the teens to kind of see themselves in these projects, in the hubs, doing these things. And I think that's really important, because we want to inspire them and kind of cause them to join the hubs and start taking action. And so I think we need to think about how we can do that, and maybe having them being able to let them see themselves doing this. We would maybe have examples of this is someone in the hubs, they're 14 years old, they live here, and they found out about us this way, and now they're working on this kind of changed what they wanted to do when they grow up, or this affected their career goals. And just maybe including examples or having pictures of the teens doing this would be a good way to allow the teens to see themselves in this position.
Yeah, I think all of the pages, probably we will introduce the subject on the first page, and then the second page will include some of the members and what the SDG hubs are doing. And I think the best way to get people envisioning themselves involved in, let's say, wildlife conservation, climate action, racial justice, action, and activism, I think the best way to do that is visually. I think a lot of people learn visually and through pictures and art, and especially pictures. If we can get, even if it's staged, we don't actually have a picture of the hubs all, doing, well, I know we have pictures of the garden. I forgot what hub is working on that, but even if someone just took a picture of them planting a tree by themselves, we can highlight that in their picture or their description of what they're doing. And I think people will envision themselves oh, that's so cool, they're in a book and they're doing that. I kind of want to do that and be planting that tree, and they can visualize themselves helping out with everything, with each SDG.
Grace, that just gave me an idea of, because I like the idea of putting pictures so that people can envision themselves in that role. What also might be interesting is if I have a thing for line art. I love line art. I think the simplicity of it's very nice, but also silhouettes. If you, for example, have a picture of our teens working in the gardens, but not necessarily having someone's face, so that you can, if you have a silhouette of a teen working in a garden, you can also envision yourself in that position. But these are all kind of hypothetical, just ideas that sprung into my head. But I like the idea of making it visual, because I agree. I think a lot of us are visual learners.
All right, so we have just a few minutes left. So I'd like to quickly let everyone who hasn't had a chance to speak yet share their thoughts. So Ankitha, would you like to share?
Sure. Hi, Grace.
Also, Ankitha, can any of you guys share your videos if you want to? You don't have to, but also just Ankitha's head of our wildlife hub. So when you speak, let people know what you do, what hub you're in. Okay, Ankitha.
Yeah, so hi, I'm Ankitha. I'm from the Wildlife Conservation Hub. I want to congratulate you, Grace, on the many books in this presentation. I thought it was really interesting. And yeah, so the Wildlife Conservation Hub, we're kind of a newer hub. We only got started last year. And we can write a bunch about what we've done so far, but I think what would probably be even more impactful is similar to your book about the endangered species. We can do something similar. I was in South Africa this past summer volunteering with rhinos, so I could write a little bit about the rhinos that I encountered, because they were all very different. So yeah, we were interested in doing something similar to that, having individual stories. And I think that could also target a younger audience, and it might be more engaging, just instead of hearing about the papers you wrote, which is like equally important, but probably not as engaging to like the younger audience. So yeah.
That is so cool, by the way. Like I dream of working with rhinos. That is so cool. So, and yeah, I totally agree.
Let me just say that Ankitha met Charles, who heads up the Rhino Savers in South Africa. And she and her dad just decided to go there to South Africa and volunteer with Rhino Savers. But she met Charles in the hub because anyway, so, and then we were having a wildlife hub meeting and she came into our meeting from South Africa. We had no idea she went to Rhino Savers to volunteer. But this is just such a great story of how the hub introduced Ankitha to this opportunity. And Charles is amazing. So Grace, we'd love to have you go to Rhino Savers and connect with, and you should talk to Ankitha about her work. Anyways, I'll stop interfering, and you're doing a great job, Carolina, keeping us on track.
All right, Alicia, would you like to share?
Yes, my comment was also Grace, so impressive, great presentation, thank you. My concern was not, my comment is on the cohesion of the book and like how the, I guess, I don't know if it's necessarily a format question, but if every hub is contributing a chapter, how are we gonna kind of keep the same, like, I guess an overall theme and just make it flow so that there's more unity in the book? It's just kind of an idea. I don't know if we can all address it as a group or if Grace, you have any ideas.
So
I think, oh, Carolina, you can go. Oh, okay. Well, I think that's a really good, I was thinking about that too, a really good comment. I think the art will help it make more, like, be more together. And because the SDGs are separate goals, it's going to be hard to like flow, make it flow very well, but I think we'll think about that and make each page like themed. So like the first page of everyone's like 2 or 3 pages or 4 pages is one specific theme. And then the second page, maybe it's highlighting the hub's work. So the first page is educating about the goal and the second page is about the hub. And then it will be like that throughout the book. So hopefully that will help with cohesiveness. And of course, the art is going to be the same style throughout the book, I think, and that will help as well. But yeah, we can think about that more as we get into more details about the book.
That's a really good idea. I like that idea of like kind of introducing each chapter in the same way.
Yeah, I agree. Cohesion is something we need to talk about. But we have one last. Danielle, if you would like to share, you can go. And then we will stop the recording and kind of finish this workshop. But Danielle, if you would like to share your thoughts.
I think this is awesome. And I'm from the Wildlife Conservation Hub, and I think we would love to talk about our bees at the garden and Ankitha's trip to South Africa, because that's just really awesome. And we just love to talk about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, thank you so much. All right, Linda, if you would like to stop the recording. And thank you all on your personal